Okay, really excited today to be joined by Self Esteem, aka Rebecca Lucy Taylor, singer-songwriter. Unless you've been hiding under a rock for the last year, you'll know she is multi-award-winning artist, Mercury Award nominee, rising superstar, and her album Prioritise Pleasure has been named Album of the Year by The Guardian, Sunday Times, many others. Most importantly, it's brought me endless joy. I'm a huge personal fan, hence the collaboration. My absolute standout best set at Glastonbury. Your memory there. So excited to chat today, and so happy to have you as the face of our Valentine's campaign. So
me too. Thank you, Emily. I love it. Thank you so much.
No, thank you for joining us. So first of all, just how does it feel to be blowing up? Are you like, pinch me, or are you just like, finally everyone realizes how fabulous I am? Like, yeah. How are you feeling?
I don't feel like pinch me. I feel like, yeah, hello. Which I have to rein in a bit because I get a bit like mean-spirited sometimes, because it's like I did a soundtrack for a play and my album came out. I did all those festivals. I'm now doing like an acting job. These are all things I've always wanted to do, and they decided to give me them all in 1 year. And I do feel a bit like, well, it's 15 years I could have been doing this. but when I shut out that like completely redundant thought process, I love it, and I'm so happy. And I'm, mostly it's like, it feels like I'm just getting started. Yeah. And that's quite integral to my art practice in a way, because it does feel like, that part of me that is like, I wish this happened when I was 21, is the part that is conditioned like society to be like, oh, certainly women should only be doing this when they're young and whatever, like that, so every time I'm like, oh, I wish this happened sooner, I'm like, no, that's that's the patriarchy talking.
Well, that's, yeah. And it's funny, actually. I mean, you've been in the industry, for those who don't know, 15 years. You came, you're in an indie band, drummer in an indie band all that time. And like, one thing that strikes me, because when I watch you, your music, your show, like very sexy in this really strong way, like massive shout out to your backing singers, like you're this hot, strong, like female army. And that obviously flows from you. And it's interesting to me because you came out of indie, which can often be the antithesis of that vibe, right? And is that, spending such a long time in that genre, was it that you were suppressing you, or have you just changed over time?
Good question. I think I was definitely suppressing myself, and then it's like a real tale as old as time thing, but I couldn't be myself. It was like it was anytime I sort of was, it's sent to have repercussions. And because I'm a sort of good at, I don't know, I'm like horrendously empathetic, so I can figure it out pretty quickly, like what I need to be like to survive, or like fit in, or like make people happy. And that's like a wonderful skill in the right hands, but when it's being sort of abused in a way, like it was just hard work. I just thought that's what life was, and that's the end of it. And to now, my life with the girls in my band, and the jobs that I'm doing and the things that I get to be involved with, like, it's bliss. Like, it's literally bliss. Even when it's hard, it's like, at least it's hard on my terms. Like, I don't know, I can't believe how long I lived in the way that I was living. But I also it's just luck, I think. I think I was just unlucky to be in a world, that indie world, the sort of very male dominated, everyone really wants to pretend they're not bothered about what they're doing, and it just doesn't suit me. And what it did was like make me quite poorly, ultimately. But it's all part of the journey, and like
it must feel good as well that the real you, this authentic you, has been so, everyone relate, the success of the album and your message and you is obviously because you touch something and people relate. You're like that authentic message out is speaking to so many people. That must feel good. That must feel like
I don't think I've processed it yet. I keep saying this, like, it's like, oh, I feel less lonely for sure, and I feel less like I'm the weirdo and there's something wrong with me, right? Those are the main feelings for the first 32 years of my life, shall we say. And so it is amazing. It's also got this sort of sadness, because I'm like, oh, again, it's just a redundant thought, but I'm like, oh, you all were out there feeling like I was, but I didn't know you, or I didn't have access to you, or I couldn't communicate. So I sort of get this grief for the, you know, girl in her 20s that was like, what's wrong with me? It's like, there's nothing wrong with you. There was all these other people around the corner that felt the same, but I couldn't find them.
But I think it's so
get
hard.
Over that. Yeah.
Yeah. And as a woman, particularly, it's so hard at that age at 21 to have that perspective.
Yeah. So as, again, I don't regret any of it. I do have these big waves of like grief for me, younger me, and you know, I do want to hug her and go, you're not a weirdo at all. You are processing the being alive, like anyone normal, anyone would. You just around people that don't struggle, or the system works better for, so they don't have to feel like they do, like you do. So yeah, it's complicated, but it's sort of, thank God we got a nice happy ending somewhat. Yes. Like if this hadn't happened and I hadn't found all these people, I'd still be going, I'd be chugging on for sure. But I'm so glad that I got access to a sort of wider part of life. And it has made me think going forward, like I want to advocate for everyone to look for that, you know, like if you feel like everything's very difficult, there might be another way. There might be something else out there. You just got to be brave enough to try and find it, and thank God I was, you know.
Yeah, and I think you do, you know, about anyone that's been to any of your gigs, it's sort of one of the hallmarks is lots of people cry at the end, which people, whenever I tell people that, they're like, that's why? That's such a strange kind of ending, but that's what happens at your gig. Like, if you don't believe me, go to a Self-Esteem gig and you will see.
Yeah, it's an experience.
A kind of a sea of, there's very uplifting music, but there's this kind of emotional element, which is that message, right? People feeling that, exactly. Okay, let's talk about lingerie. Pants, nothing more. I love more talking about that. So look, I think of you as someone who wears, you know, really interesting, fun stuff. Who clearly has a love of fashion. So I'm really interested to kind of hear about your relationship to lingerie. You know, do you know, is it the same with lingerie? Do you have like a bra made out of Boots Advantage cards at home? We can make one.
I think we're on email about that.
We'll talk about that later. Or is it, you know, do you love it? Have you got weird patriarchal hang-ups about it, like many women sadly do? You know, what's your relationship to
it? Great question. I think like my journey with it was, the reason why I wanted to do the campaign with you guys is like, my boobs have been nothing but like this thing to be ashamed of and frightened of, right? So like I got boobs early, and you know, I think that generally I was in minimizer bras like straight away. Like the whole MO of my brain was like, just hide them. And I see now this sort of how sad that is, because it's like, I'm turning like fun chat into patriarchy shit, but I was scared of them because they brought me attention that I didn't want and made me feel frightened, right? But I still don't have any option but to have them. So it's like it's another one of these things, like the fucking penny dropping, where I go, oh, I deserve to have for my boobs to exist. That's why it's quite, you know, it's bigger. It's bigger than just doing a modeling job, essentially. Like that campaign was huge for me, because I was like, this is what my body is, and I'm enjoying it, and I'm proud of it, and it's gorgeous or whatever. But also, like, I did that, and I'm not frightened, you know. So yeah, lingerie always was like, it represented like danger or something in the way I sort of grew up thinking about my body and femininity and the attention that I might get or whatever. And now that journey, you know, it's coincided with my music career and everything I'm doing, and all my art is like, I didn't ask to have massive tits that are beautiful.
I mean, they are,
but I have them, right? And I'm not going to be scared of them anymore, because that's your fault. That's your perception. It's not mine. So yeah, it's a weird relationship with it, where it was very like, it was a tool to help me shrink and disappear. And now it's this, you know, quite opposite, and I'm having so much more fun, and I love it. And I hope that, you know, I talk about it online quite a bit, and so many women have gone like, you know, seeing you in a bra makes me not buy a minimizer. Do you know what I mean? It's
Yeah, but that's the thing. I mean, I remember when I was at primary school, one of my friends, Kim, she got boobs before anyone else. I won't say her surname, but she got boobs before anyone else. And I remember the boys used to, when we were doing sports, they would literally line up to watch her run races. Yeah. It was so awful for her. Like there was this kind of, this whole sexualization at primary school, around them. And equally not getting boobs is traumatic in another way because there's this expectation. And it's this whole kind of, and for us, lingerie, for me, and what sort of prompted the businesses, for me, lingerie, it should be like any other fashion item, right? Like clothes, shoes, handbags, like we buy things that reflect our style or our mood at that particular point. We buy them for ourselves, sometimes to show off to our friends, but it's that sort of fashion purchase. And lingerie shouldn't have this whole other weird layer on it, and just like you might wear a slinky dress one day and a t-shirt the other day, your lingerie is just a fashion. It's a layer. It's like a layer of your fashion life, but it's got all these kind of weird associations because of the way boobs are kind of sexualized on women from such a young age. So I think
it's that like, I think for me, I'm like, I haven't chosen this, and yet I feel ashamed of it. And fashion helps me have fun with the things that I've previously been ashamed of or thought isn't right or whatever, and blah blah blah. Like the idea that like people are scared they haven't got boobs and people are scared they have, that's just, when you actually think about it, like that's mental.
Like so many other things. It's absolutely crazy. And so tell me about the first time you went shopping for what you would call lingerie. So the minimizer, not the minimum, but like, what can you remember your first experience of that?
Good question. I got like a really nice boyfriend when I was like 19, and I remember it's like you the movies or telly or whatever. I'm like, right, I'm gonna get bra and pants that looks nice. And I think I must have just gone to like M&S, and I think I got like red because it was like Valentine's Day, and it was probably perfectly lovely. And but again, even that, like my lingerie journey for like love, I've never had much fun with that. It's always been like, it's so fun when it's for you and for them, and it's like so it's always been very like structural, functional underwear, or like I go like the most male gaze friendly thing was certainly in my teens before it came out, like what do boys want, was the MO. And now obviously I'm so in my skin and so myself, and it's what I want, and that bit, me being comfortable, makes me sexier than ever. Do you know what I mean? To whoever's looking at me.
Yeah, for sure. And it's funny, the whole kind of Valentine, like that your first experience of lingerie was like Valentine's shopping. Was it at Meadowhall as well?
Yeah, it will have been a Meadowhall for sure. And I think I probably kept it secret from my mum.
But it's that
it will have been,
that kind of heteronormative, expression of Valentine's. And it's it's interesting, and the reason we wanted to work with you as the face of our Valentine's campaign, it's for us as a brand, it's a funny one, right? Because I have a lot of issues with this whole kind of idea of Valentine's as you sort of buying something for your partner, and everyone's straight, and it's very exclusionary to people that aren't in relationships, etc. So we've tried to kind of always think, how can we reframe this festival? So either it's just celebrating love, or finding, we did a campaign with Monroe Bergdorf because she's got this amazing journey of self-love to share, or we did a project celebrating the passions of our audience, which was like base jumping and tattooing and like all load of crazy stuff, and so that's what's great about having you as the face of Valentine's, because it's this whole and prioritize pleasure. I mean, I guess that's a question. What does that mean, prioritize pleasure? Where did that come from?
It means, I always do this joke where I'm like, it's not as sexy as it sounds. Like for me, it's like prioritizing myself and what do I want. And that can mean sexually, sure. But it's like, do I want to go to that thing? Do I want to have to stay at the pub for one more drink just because you want me to? It's like, so I'm not a fun answer, but that's kind of where I was coming at from it. Like I've lived my life in like constant service to what everyone else wants, and the knock-on effect of that is why I've struggled mentally. And it's like, prioritize pleasure means that to me. But then also like the Valentine's Day thing, it's like, I always say, like, it's Valentine's Day every bloody day of the year, right? In my mind, it's like, seems stupid to me that we have to, that anything in the calendar creates you to feel alone or not like everyone else or anything like that. Like, that drives me mad, and I include Christmas in that, and I include, you know, like all these things that, like,
every day you get to have is big.
Exactly that. There you go. That's my bloody point. I love doing the Valentine's campaign with you guys. It's like, well, I'm going to wear this all year round, and I'm going to feel like this all year round, and this is for me. It's like, it's all for me. And my enjoyment of my own body, because it's a gift, you know. And that so that's why I liked when we spoke first, because I was like, yeah, I could do a campaign which is like, look how hot I am, you can too. But it was more for me about, like, it represents so much, and Valentine's is very sort of secondary to it all, because it's Valentine's Day every day for me. I don't, you know.
And also lingerie, it's also, you know, for us it's outerwear, right? If it's, we always say, if it's too beautiful to hide, don't hide it, you know. So we've spotted Bluebella in some of your looks at festivals. They're in the Wizardry video. And is that kind of an everyday look for you, styling it, you know, styling lingerie as outerwear? Is that something that you...
Yeah, I mean, it's very, like, I'm very Madonna inspired, so, like, obviously lingerie meet the sort of inherent femininity of lingerie meeting, like, the masculinity of suits and tailoring. Like, if in doubt, I just do that. And it just, there's nothing cooler, you know. And I think I'll continue to do that. And I love, like, I'm not just saying it, but, like, Bluebella's, the design is so good. Everything is so, it's beautiful and sexy and everything, but it's, like, very cool, and that's helpful, because it's moving away from this idea of lingerie as this uncomfortable thing that you have to do in order to arouse somebody else. Like and wearing it as outerwear is, like, that point proven. Like, I'm not wearing, it's for me, it's all for me.
It's not about me. No, but it's true. And that's, you know, we try and do that. Any kind of detailing that looks classic, you know, that classic lingerie, it's like, no, you know, we like the metal work, the hardware, you know, the strapping, it kind of, because it does give it that edge, it gives it a fashion edge, it makes it strong, and the whole strength and femininity thing coming together, partly in design. We've run a lot of campaigns with athletes and Paralympians and so on around that concept as well. So yeah, no, that's spot on. So let's talk about the shoot. So you came into Bluebella HQ to have your fitting, which I have to say was my favorite fitting of all time, I think, because honestly, I just loved your, like, you love the product so much. I love the vibe with your team, and you're so
we have
confident.
Fun,
and I was just like, this is just the best fitting ever. And there was even somebody videoing you. I was like, you really trust that man? When you...
Piers, he's making a documentary, and a lot of the documentary, you know, he's following me around, and so much of what I've been through this year is, it's like these aftershock echoes of what I preach not being like anymore, if that makes sense. So, like, I was like, I'm going to do a lingerie shoot after a summer of looking in the mirror going, oh, I'm not, oh, I feel like this, I feel like that, and insecurities about my body, and all the thing, like, for everything I say, I'm still thinking the negativeness, you know, it's still here. And I reckon that's what the film's MO will kind of be. It's like, you can progress so much, but it doesn't stop the wiring from sort of being in you. And so he came because it was like, I'm going to stand in my bra and pants, and that's going to be interesting for the documentary. So but even that, like, it's art, like, it's true giving over to somebody else to witness me existing, you know.
But I think also it makes it accessible, because I think if you're, like, saying, oh, I'm this, like, you know, I be strong and but that's quite inaccessible to most people, because no one feels like that every day, you know. So actually it's like that's an honest take on it, isn't it? So tell me about the actual shoot. So we did the fitting on shoot day. How did you feel? Talk me through.
It was great, you know. It was hard. I just struggled in the way I knew I would, really. But again, I kept saying to you on the day, it's like, I'm fine, but my it's like fight or flightness was like, what am I doing? And then honestly, I felt like afterwards I was so proud of myself, and and it feels like a real sort of turning point. The thing again is I repeat myself a lot, but, like, the part of me that a couple of times on the shoot thought, oh no, what if I oh no, I'm not happy, or I'm too hot, or like suddenly I'd feel, oh God. That's the part of me that's inside of me that is the patriarchy in the system, who's like, oh, I should have lost more weight for this, or oh, I should be this and that. Like, so those feelings are like warning signs that I'm giving in to the system. Does that make sense?
Right. No, it does. Because I mean, on the day, I mean, you know, we talked about this, but like on the day, you know, we had the fitting, and then on the day I was like, oh, is Rebecca okay? She seems like a bit, you know, unsure. And then I was like, oh my God, ethically, maybe you're hating this and we should stop that. The last thing I would want is you to feel uncomfortable. And I was saying to a few of your team, like, is Rebecca okay? And like, yeah, she's fine. I'm like, either they're complete bitches or
no, it's
or
part of it. Yeah.
Oppositely, they know you, and they know that. And then once we spoke, I understood that you were going through this kind of internal struggle of those voices, and you know, and it was sort of an important process, you know, for you that you were going through. So I can, you know, now I understand that. I mean, and you know, you obviously look so beautiful, amazing, but you didn't want to see the pictures on the day. You know, you're like, show me later. And why is that? Just talk me through that, because you know, what was behind that?
Just from years of doing shoots now, this is another thing that happens with me, is like my eyes will see something completely different. So like I can shoot, I can see it, and if I see something I don't think is all right, then it all like seeps in like a poison, and then the same image that I might see, if I see it 2 weeks later, I see something good.
Yeah,
it's just something I've learned about myself, really, and in a way I'm choosing to be on camera, and that's like it's like there's a separation I need to have, because the years and years and years of patriarchal sort of like self-esteem issues mean there's no image that will ever be perfect.
Yeah,
somewhere in here we'll find something wrong with it. So it's like, it's an artistic kind of choice to go, I am here to be photographed, and it's not really my job to decide whether or not that's a good photograph, is where I've got to with it. Because then again, that's another process that helps me accept myself and my body and what I look like and all those things, if that makes sense.
It does make. How did you get to where you are, right? So you know, you've obviously come to this sort of place after all these years of struggle. Like, how did you, you know, what was that process? How did you get there?
I think it's just this year, just more and more and more. It's like, I've said it quite a few times now, but it's like, if I look at a picture and go, ugh, you don't look good, that's not true, right? That the part of my eyes that is seeing something that does not look good is the part of me that had, you know, Heat magazine telling me that Bridget Jones is plus size, and you know, the television telling me this, that, you know, that's the part of me. I look at a picture and I'm like, I'm amazing, I exist. That's to know, you know what I mean? It's like, that's where I want to get to, and where I can't, you know, I got to on the day. Like, it's a kind of like, you know, I grow up, right, you know, if you take a picture of my mum's like, oh, I don't know, no, that's awful. And you know, you're around that long enough, you're like, well, it's not awful, it's you. You're beautiful and you exist. That's a picture of you existing. Like, I want to get to that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it's a hard process, because like you say, we are focused on, I mean, it's like you see it with your friends, don't you? How you see them and how they see themselves. You know, so it's if you just talk to yourself as you would your best friend, then that's it's exactly that. We're all guilty of that.
And the shoot as well, like, it's your product I am wearing, and some, you know, you would look at it, I'd be looking at an image, and the best image for you guys might not be the image. That might be an image I'm like, oh, that could be this, or that could be that. That, you know, that person inside me that fools themselves into thinking they're not right or not good enough. So I think it's to the detriment of the art if I'm too involved looking at them.
Yeah. Well, I suppose everyone's got, I mean, you know, on set, everyone's got a different perspective, haven't they? You know, I'm looking at the product, and we're looking at the overall, you know, the hair and the makeup and the whole, you know, it's creating, like you say, it's art, it's creating, everyone's inputting, and then at the end of the day, there's a decision on it. But
I just want to image the best image possible. And you're not necessarily gonna get the best image possible if I'm like, oh, I wish my arms weren't like that, you know, because I don't trust that person who says that.
I get it. And how do you think your audience will react? You know, you've got a very, you know, very sort of connected fan base. How do you think they'll react to you as the face and body of lingerie?
Oh God, I think the girlies will be like, woo, yeah. I think the gays will be like, oh my God, amazing. I think the Six Music dads will think, oh my goodness, I don't know.
Six Music dads, I love how they're a category.
I love them, they're my people, and I've taught them a lot this year, I think. God,
I think I'm married to one. Like, I just realised no,
they're good. They're a good
Six Music dad, oh my God.
But I think I don't know, I just want to enjoy it, and it means a lot for all these reasons, but then mostly it's like I could starve myself and I could work out all the time, and I could, you know, I could do so much more to be so much slimmer, and that's what it feels like the industry wants from me, but that feels like the antithesis of what I'm talking about. So to really proudly be, you know, have a body in underwear, and it's the shape it is, and it's what it is, feels political almost. Like I'm not giving in to, because, you know, if you ask me,
this is the protest, as it says on your
exactly. When I was a 28-year-old, I would have knew I had that coming up. I'd have done really disordered eating and all that bullshit, and, you know, I'm proud of myself I didn't do that. I'm proud, you know, and I want people to look at it and go, see themselves and think, yeah, I think it's just important. And the media didn't let us see much, you know?
No, for sure. Oh, well, look, we absolutely loved having you. You look beautiful. We can't wait to share the images with the world. And what's next then for self-esteem? What's the next chapter?
Oh my God, I'll get my eyebrows back at some point.
I'm loving the no eyebrow thing. I love it. I'm going to go and shave mine off after.
So yeah, I'm doing a couple of TV shows, and then I'm gonna start the next album. I think that's my plan. And I'm gonna tour again next year, and then probably go to America for a bit. But my focus, I've got a lot to do, and a lot of doors have opened, and I just want to sort of, I want to do it all. Like I said, there's no reason I can't. So.
Well, listen, we wish you the absolute best of luck.
Thank you, darling.
Stay in touch. We'll keep you.
Yes, definitely.
Beautiful lingerie all the way around. So,
thank you. Thank you. You're the best. Thank you both so much for everything. Thanks,
Rebecca.
All right, dolls.